Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the August 13th council meeting. I appreciate everyone coming in this evening. We have a few topics on the table that we're going to be discussing. We have some delegations here this evening as well as a public hearing. So we'll get things going here. Call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. now. Adopt of the agenda. Council, do you have any questions, concerns, comments, or deletions or additions? I hear none. Be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried. Communication facility, we have none. Item 4, adopted the previous minutes. 4.1, special meeting of council minutes. It's June 22nd. Or 26, 2024. Any additions, deletions, council?
Yeah.
I hear none. Be it resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on June 26, 2024 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Nisabata, second by Councillor Heppels. All in favor? Carried. 4.2, the regular meeting of council minutes. Any questions, concerns, comments, deletions, additions, council? I hear none. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on July 9th, 2024 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Heppels, second by Councillor Klecki. All in favor? Carried. 4.3, Committee of the Whole minutes, July 31st, 2024. Same. Any questions, comments, concerns? I hear none. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on July 31st, 2024 be approved as presented. Moved by Councillor Klecki, second by Councillor Ansel. All in favor? Carried. All right. Item number 5, the public hearing, conditional use. 5.1. Be it resolved that the regular meeting of council be adjourned at 6:02 to conduct a public hearing. Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried. 5.2. Welcome. VIH Sam and Caitlin Haywood.
Yeah, definitely.
Before you guys get started, just like to let everybody know that I'm in a similar line of work for what this proposal is potentially about, so I'll be declaring a conflict of interest, stepping away from the conversation. So just let me know when we're ready to go on to the next topic.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Vai Sam. I am the lead designer for this project. I am representing my client here is to propose a 14-unit development on the property at this time. And the property will be in 2 phases. The first phase will be the 8-unit townhouse, and the second phase will be the 6-unit townhouse. And we've been providing a full parking lot, and we've been discussing this with the planning department, and they have recommended some of the changes that we made, and there's a couple of variants that they recommended, and we accommodated that. And there's one variant, they say they're minor variants, and one major variance that we accommodated for the conditional use. Well, that's how we're here today for get the councilors approval on that.
I see. Thank you. Eric, could you maybe inform us and bring us up to speed?
Absolutely. I'll just read the podium, perhaps just so that everyone can hear me a little bit better, right? So Southern Lake Planning has provided a report and a recommendation on this. I'm just going to take you through sort of an abbreviated version of that report, just so you can have some of the salient details on the project, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. So the intent of the application is to obtain conditional use approval from council for the town of Tuelon to authorize the development of a 2-phase 14-unit townhouse development on the property in accordance with the town of Teulon zoning bylaw number 18-02 as amended. The subject property is located at 51 3rd Street southwest of Teulon. The existing lot is approximately 24,150 square feet in area and has 114.7 feet of public frontage on 3rd Street southwest. The subject property is characterized by an existing single-family dwelling and detached garage, and the site is surrounded by vacant residentially zoned land to the west and single-family residential development to the north, south, and east. According to the applicant, the first phase of the development would include 8 units of townhouses on the west side of the property, followed by a second phase of development consisting of 6 units of townhouses on the east side of the property. The applicant indicates that the proposed development is designed to cater to modern living standards and will feature contemporary architecture, energy-efficient systems, and high-end finishes to attract a diverse group of residents, including young professionals, families, and retirees. The applicant's letter of intent outlines several aspects of the proposal. I'll just walk through those. So for the townhouse units themselves, the first phase of development will include units with a floor area of approximately 950 square feet, including 2 to 3 bedrooms, 1 to 2 bathrooms, a spacious living area, a modern kitchen, private outdoor space. There's a typical floor plan provided in Appendix B of your package for reference. With respect to parking, the applicant intends to provide 16 dedicated parking spaces, ensuring that at least 1 stall per dwelling unit, along with 2 additional visitor parking stalls are provided. The proposed parking layout is illustrated on Appendix B of your package. With respect to utilities, the applicant is intending to utilize the town's municipal infrastructure for site drainage and sanitary sewer services. Tuelon does not have a municipal water system, therefore a private well will be required. With respect to landscaping, the applicant indicates that the proposed development will feature landscaped common areas designed for relaxation and interaction. The common areas will include green spaces, walking paths, benches, and possibly a small playground or garden area. The proposed landscaping is illustrated on Appendix E of your package. Sustainable design, the applicant knows that the proposed development will incorporate green building practices, including sustainable materials and energy efficient systems to minimize environmental impact and reduce utility costs. And site development, in terms of planning and approvals, the applicant indicates that they will collaborate with local authorities to obtain necessary permits and approvals. In the SIP development plan, the property is designated residential area. There are several policies in the development that apply to this particular project, including policies in the general urban policy section, in the urban residential area policy section, transportation policy section, municipal services policy section, and design policy section. It's quite lengthy in terms of the report and the policies. I don't intend to go through all of those this evening, but they are provided in a report for your reference. And if there's questions, I'm happy to answer any questions regarding those policies. With respect to the zoning bylaw, this type of project is referred to as a planned unit development, and that is a conditional use in the RG residential general zone. A planned unit development means a land development project planned as an entity in accordance with a unitary site plan, which permits flexibility in siting of buildings, mixture of housing types and land uses, usable open spaces, and the preservation of significant natural features. The residential bulk table in the zoning bylaw includes bulk requirements for permitted and conditional uses that must be satisfied by the applicant. So that information is in your package. I can tell you that the proposed development conforms with most of the bulk regulations for residential development in the town of Teulon, except for the maximum number of dwelling units allowed on the site. According to the zoning bylaw, the unit density for a planned unit development shall be calculated as follows: a minimum site area of 10,000 square feet for the first 4 dwelling units, plus 1,500 square feet of site area for each additional dwelling unit thereafter. So based on this, with the existing site area being just over 24,000 square feet, the maximum number of permitted dwelling units is 13. Since the applicant is proposing 14 dwelling units on the property, the applicant must obtain a minor variance from the SIPD's development officer to increase that maximum number from 13 units to 14 units. With respect to the minimum front, rear, and side yards, the zoning bylaw requires council to determine appropriate setbacks for the proposed planned unit development. When considering bulk requirements for a comparable form of development in Tuelon, for example, a multifamily development in the RM residential multiple family zone, the proposed front, rear, and side yard setbacks are similar to what is proposed by the applicant. Specifically, the applicant is proposing a minimum of 19 feet in the front yard, 25 feet in the rear yard, and 15 feet in the side yards. By comparison, a 2-story multifamily residential development in the RM zone would require a minimum of 25 feet in the front yard, 25 feet in the rear yard, and 15 feet in the side yards. Given the similarity between what is proposed and what is normally required for similar residential development, the SIPD has no significant concerns with the proposed setbacks. So I'm just going to speak about a few other planning considerations. So site access and traffic. Access to the subject property is provided via 3rd Street Southwest, which intersects with PTH 17 Beach Road, located approximately 511 feet to the north. PTH 17 functions as an arterial road with Tuelon, facilitating the movement of both local and regional traffic. Given the modest size of the proposed development comprising 14 dwelling units, it is anticipated that the impact on the existing local road network will be minimal. Off-street parking. There are no specific parking requirements for planned unit developments in the town of Teulon zoning bylaw. However, the applicant is proposing 16 off-street parking spaces for 14 proposed dwelling units, ensuring that each unit has a minimum of 1 parking space, plus 2 additional parking spaces that could be used for visitors. The site plan confirms that the layout and dimensions of the parking spaces and driveway aisles meet the minimum standards of the zoning bylaw. Should be noted that I think the applicant is proposing 4 accessibility stalls. There's no prescribed requirement for how many have to be designed to that standard, so it's really up to the applicant if they want to convert some of those to a standard stall. Like I said, there's no requirement in the zoning bylaw that prescribes a requirement of 4 accessibility stalls. With respect to site servicing, storm drainage, and soil suitability, sanitary sewer servicing shall be designed to meet all municipal requirements. Use of a private well system will necessitate provincial approval. Given the size of the proposed development, it is recommended that the proponent prepare a site drainage plan, ensuring that post-development peak stormwater flows do not exceed pre-development peak stormwater flows, and to ensure that adjacent properties and municipal infrastructure are not negatively impacted by the proposed development. In addition, it's also recommended that the applicant conduct a geotechnical study confirming that site conditions are adequate for the proposed development prior to permit issuance. Waste and recycling collection. The applicant has allocated space on the south side of the property for exterior garbage and recycling bins. Exterior lighting. To reduce light spillover onto neighboring properties, all exterior lighting should be directed downward to eliminate key pedestrian areas on the property only. In addition, lighting considered for the proposed development should have appropriate brightness levels to ensure safety and security without overwhelming the area. Noise consideration. So construction and demolition activities have the potential to generate noise that may disturb the neighborhood for the interim period. It is recommended that the applicant ensure that construction take place during reasonable hours to reduce noise levels. In addition, a development agreement for this project should include noise mitigation measures to ensure adjacent properties are not disrupted by any excessive HVAC-related noise. Finally, site and building design characteristics. Policy 4.3.9.1 of the SIP development plan encourages council to consider design implications of new development. This is to ensure an overall high standard of development takes place. While the town of Tuelon has not adopted formal urban design guidelines or residential development guidelines, the SIP has has provided the following general comments and recommendations for council's consideration. General layout and off-street parking. The overall massing and building location should be compatible with the existing context of the streetscape. Consideration should be given to how the building aligns and transitions in appropriate scale to adjacent land uses and buildings. In this instance, the proposed townhouse buildings are both 2 stories in height, 25 feet, which is generally compatible with the neighborhood and less than the maximum building height requirement for development that's permitted in the RG residential general zone. The proposed off-street parking is located in a partially enclosed area between the 2 proposed buildings. The preferred urban design approach for low-rise residential development is to locate surface parking areas behind the buildings fronting onto the road so that they are generally hidden from the street. The development proposal is consistent with this approach. Facade treatment and building materials. Facade treatment and building materials are encouraged to incorporate architectural elements that are complementary to and consistent with the character of the neighborhood and which establish an attractive building facade and entrances onto the primary frontage street. The proposed townhouse development design includes several vertical and horizontal projections with a roof design, building facade, and front balconies. This distinguishes the proposed development and adds overall visual interest to the project. Landscaping. New development should reflect and enhance the landscaping quality of the existing streetscape and adjacent properties. Normally, landscape areas are required for all setback areas adjacent to the street except for those that are specifically reserved for walkways, parking, or vehicle access. The applicant's site plan proposes to have landscaping along the property lines, including one area that is intended as an outdoor amenity space for residents, referred to as a resident recreation area. That's shown on the site plan. It is recommended that all proposed landscaping be completed within 1 year of the approved occupancy of the Phase 1 building. Options for council's consideration. In accordance with section 106(1) of the Planning Act, after holding today's hearing, council must make an order to either reject the application or approve the application if the conditional use proposed in the application is determined to be compatible with the general nature of the surrounding area, will not be detrimental to the health or general welfare of people living or working in the surrounding area, or negatively affect other properties or potential development in the surrounding area, and is generally consistent with the applicable provisions of the development plan bylaw and zoning bylaw. Recommendation. The urban residential area policies of the SIPD development plan encourages the construction of a full range of high, medium, and low-density housing throughout the planning district, including Tuelon. Accordingly, the Town of Teulon zoning bylaw gives council the authority to consider planned unit developments by conditional use in the RG residential general zone. The SIPD believes the applicant has successfully addressed key planning considerations, including those related to the effective site layout, site access, off-street parking, landscaping, and building design. In addition, the SIPD believes the applicant has satisfactorily addressed applicable policies of the SIPD development plan and most regulations of the Teulon zoning bylaw, and as a result is supportive of the proposed developments subject to conditions. If council is satisfied that the proposed development is in compliance with the Planning Act, the SIPD recommends approval with the following minimum conditions. 1, the applicant owner shall obtain required permits from SIPD, including but not limited to development, building, plumbing, and occupancy permits. 2, the applicant owner shall obtain a minor variance from the SIPD's development officer to increase the maximum number of dwelling units from 13 units to 14 units. 3, that the applicant owner shall conduct a geotechnical investigation of the subject property to assess soil conditions as may be required by the SIPD prior to permit issuance. 4, the applicant owner shall obtain any approvals, licenses, or permits that may be required by the Town of Teulon, including but not limited to a lot grade permit, a driveway permit, and sanitary sewer servicing. Number 5, the applicant owner shall obtain any approvals, licenses, or permits that may be required by the province of Manitoba or federal government. And finally, number 6, the applicant owner shall enter into a development agreement with the Town of Teulon to address various municipal matters, including but not limited to the minimum design and architectural requirements of the development, confirmation of all site servicing requirements, stormwater management, municipal road improvements if applicable, landscaping requirements to be completed within 1 year of the approved occupancy of the Phase 1 development, site maintenance requirements, noise mitigation requirements, timing and conditions of construction, capital lot levies if applicable, and any other issues deemed necessary pursuant to section 150 of the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions regarding that before I turn this over to the public? What I'd like to do, thanks, I appreciate that. What I'd like to do is I'd like to turn this over to the public, the residents that are affected or around this property. You have an opportunity to speak. Please come up to the podium. We want to keep your comments constructive, please. And your concerns, please address your concerns, and then we'll go from there. So further to do to that, do we have one of the residents that would like to come up and speak first? Sharice?
Sure.
You can stay there, that's fine.
Okay. I just want to say that I'm in favor of principle of this project. Tuelon's in need of more development. It's the only way that our taxes will, that we can survive, basically. We need more tax dollars, and the only way to get that is by having developers like Mr. Sam coming from other areas to invest in our community. So I just want to say that I do have a concern about parking, and I've spoken with Eric about this. So I know that there's no requirements in Tuelon as to the number, right? But, I just, from my experience of having multiple, 2 and 3 bedroom properties that I rent in town, that majority of people living in those units are 2 income homes which require 2 vehicles. And so, I understand that, like, if someone's gonna go take a look at the properties and that doesn't, and there is only 1 spot, and maybe it won't work for them. But then I think about the developer, and I think it maybe is smarter to increase those numbers so that you aren't losing on saleability, right? Like, I see it both sides, so, because you want to make as many units as possible, but the parking issue, because we don't want parking down the street. I think we all people who are here for that live around there, we don't want a bunch of parking on the street, right? So, so that was one concern. The other is from the well water. Obviously, 1 well will not suffice 14 units, I don't think, right? We don't want to dry out the water table. So, I'm sure council, you'll look into the requirements on how many wells would be needed for a 14-plex on that size of lot, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I appreciate that, thanks, Joyce. Gary?
I'd be concerned about traffic down that street. You got like you say, two vehicles per, and we all know what traffic's like at this town. Coming off of 17, I just don't, I fear the overflow of traffic. At all hours of the night.
Anything further, Gary?
There's gotta be different locations in this town to be more adequate for that complex. Somewhere closer to access, you know, it's right in the middle of a residential street. I just feel it's a poor location.
You had your hand up.
No. Do I come up?
Please, if you wish, if you're.
These are fairly loud, but Rachel Brown. We own the property on 35 3rd Street North, which is directly behind the proposed property project, I guess. So I have no issues with more housing in general, and I have no idea if the town needs it or not. People here know that better than I do. My concern is having the property right behind them, having a 2-story building. So the idea of the property was a retirement place because it was quiet, it's at the end of town, not very highly populated, and now potentially I'll have 28 people looking in my backyard. So I think that's the location is probably my biggest thing. The amount of traffic, the amount of noise, you know, I have no idea, lots of garbage laying around and stuff, so our little piece of property, which would be ideal, is now turned into maybe not so ideal. So I have some concerns about that. Single story, not an issue, but it's the 2-story that's really is our biggest issue. Yeah.
Great, I appreciate it, thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Come on up.
Just what Gary was saying with traffic and on the street. I counted in my head there's 17 kids within that 1 block. Now, if you would drive over there, you'd know we don't have sidewalks on that side of town. So for a high increased volume of traffic and no sidewalks for kids to use, it could be very dangerous. And on another note, I'm not sure what our lagoon situation is. I'm not opposed to apartments going up in town, we need it. But I know a couple of years back, the goose plant got shut down for washing because our lagoon couldn't handle the output. So we think of a apartment going up in town, that's like an additional 14 houses going up in Tuelon. Can we support it? That would be something to look into.
Thank you. Do we have any other residents here this evening that's been,
I live for that area of town. I enjoy the peace and quiet. I just oppose having a bunch of people move down the street. It's just too many people. Tuelon's a quiet town, I'd like to keep it that way.
okay, appreciate that.
I'd like to say something.
Absolutely.
So we're relatively new to Teulon. We're about 6 years in. And the main reason we came here is because of the small town, and I worked with RCMP for many years. I'm now retired. I am all in favor of development and all of that. I feel like this project would have a huge impact, not only on 3rd Street, but our street as well. That location backs onto our property. So again, like the lady was saying, like we're gonna have all these people looking in our backyard, our nice quiet backyard. And with the 14 unit, I'm just guesstimating with significant others and children, that's 60 people, boom, right there. There's gonna be noise, and the gentleman was saying about the kids, like you add those children on top of the 17, there's no sidewalks, so we're a little nervous about this. We came for privacy and some seclusion and some quietness, and that's gonna be completely and drastically affected. We're not saying that this shouldn't happen in Teulon. Like, I love Teulon. We've really, my husband's family has roots here, but we just need to maybe find a different spot.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Ken, you care to comment?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the back that would like to say something before I send this over to council? Okay. Councilor Klecki, any questions?
I guess in response to the, if there's 17 kids on the street, there is no sidewalks in Tuelon in reality. But maybe that should be part of the stipulation that they have to push a sidewalk to get us to 17.
There is sidewalks along where Kurt's apartment blocks are. So he does have sidewalk use outside of his apartment blocks.
Okay, but maybe if this development went through, there should be a sidewalk on, what is it, 3rd and 1st up to 17?
Yeah, because the sidewalk does go up to the corner.
Yeah.
Where my property is, it just curls around, and it could be extended
Sense.
from there.
Parking is an issue, I think. Other than that, I guess in reality, we're just gonna have trees. That's what our buffer is against the neighbors.
Great plans.
Where's the plan? Yeah.
That is right. Streets.
Yeah. I think that's really the big one that I see in there.
Councilor Eccles?
I'm really conflicted on this one. It's no secret, I would love to see more housing in town, particularly, not even just a 2-3 bedroom, I'd like to see 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, stuff that's meant for starter homes and low income. It's a really problematic spot to put that many people. But read through the report from SMPD, I understand and appreciate that the math works, but I have some serious concerns that have been mentioned here about the spot, about the placement.
Councilor Shabbat?
You guys said everything I was thinking.
Okay, I'm in a difficult position. I'm just gonna, I'm the mayor, and I live in that part of town. So I received this, I have some concerns. Speaking as mayor, yeah, I want to see development in this community. There's no doubt about it. Like Charisse alluded to, the fact is the more people we have in our community, more taxes we can raise, the more money that will be spent in our businesses, in our community as a whole. So I'm for that. I do have some concerns about this, where the placement of this is one that comes to mind right off the bat is the recreation area. It's right in Brooke's back door. I have a real problem. Brooke lives, she lives to the north side of that property. That rec space, there could be 60 individuals sitting there till 11 o'clock at night when Brooke might be trying to sleep to go to bed. You know, there's a concern there, and we only have a barrier of trees. We talk about water. Eric, I'd like to ask that question. Water, with this many residents, one well be suffice?
I don't know. At the end of the day, the province will have to be
look at.
consulted on that.
Consulted.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's still plenty of questions that need to
Sure.
be answered, and site servicing is one of them. So, I know there's a question around capacity for sewer. That's something obviously the town's gonna have to weigh in on, but the province is gonna have to take a look at this from a whole perspective.
Absolutely.
And see what's required and if that demand can be met.
Okay. From a resident living, been there a long time, we're susceptible to flooding, overland flooding. We have one ditch. We have one ditch that comes from the northwest, and that one little ditch goes down Third, and it floods all of us out. With this property going in there, I'm concerned about it, and again, and I'm talking as a resident because I've been flooded twice when that went through, and so did everybody else around me. With that property going in there, that's gonna raise that elevation up because we gotta meet lot grades, there's no doubt about it. And I worry now, Marty's property on the backside, as well as your side, and as well as Brooks' side, right? So there's some concerns there. I don't think, I really worry about how we're gonna mitigate the water that comes off that property, or is it gonna compound the issue? We do have, we have a low area on the backside of that property, Marty, into your area, that you're looking at finding ways to drain. It is susceptible to water. I worry that it could get worse back there. That is a concern as a resident, okay? Traffic is a problem. I don't believe, I did a little drive-through around town, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom places. Typically, there's gotta be 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 cars in the parking lot or in their driveways. I worry, where are those cars gonna park? Is they're gonna, if the buildings go up, we can't, other than put no parking signs on our streets, there's gonna be a struggle where these cars are gonna park. I like the idea, Councilor Klecky, regarding a sidewalk. Yeah, that would help maybe alleviate some problems as a good thing for that area, I agree. Those are my concerns with the property. Again, I would love to see a development. I don't think it's the right place in our community for that multiplex. Having said that, does council have any further questions regarding that? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, just to advise, there is that proposed sort of amenity area on the north side of the property. It should be noted that, and I mentioned this to Therese, that some of that space could be allocated to an additional parking space or 2 if necessary. Obviously, it takes away from that amenity space, but maybe, you know, if there's concerns about privacy on the north side of the property, there could be a kind of mutually beneficial change to the site plan to, as I say, add an additional parking space or 2. So I just wanted to advise council that that is something that could be considered. And that as part of this process, if there's concerns around screening with additional, you know, to the adjacent properties, you can require additional screening measures. So I just want to advise council that is your prerogative to require that, yeah.
Okay.
I guess, Eric, I have a question. So when we look at property, building houses and things, you're building on the street, there's a setback, and you just can't go and push it right back because then you're starting to infringe on your neighbor's backyard. So there's all those little regulations, but now when we do this multiplex, it just pushes. But there's no way around that.
Yeah, so for planned unit development, there's still bulk regulations that need to be met. Now, those setbacks are for buildings, they're not for parking areas. And your zoning bylaw is not very prescriptive in terms of landscaping, or if there needs to be fencing or trees in certain places. It doesn't get into that level of detail. So it really comes down to what council thinks is appropriate. But with respect to building setbacks, the setbacks are being satisfied. There's nothing here that is kind of inconsistent with this type of development elsewhere, and there's nothing in the zoning bylaw that's being infringed upon. Otherwise, there would be a requirement for a variance. The only thing that is exceeding what is sort of the maximum is the number of units. 14 units are proposed, 13 are the maximum that are permitted on the site.
Is there anything further from the public?
Is there any other locations in town where this could be? Like, see, I agree with everybody, we need more housing. Is there not another location that may be an option to put this rather than smack dab in the middle of a residential area?
And I can answer that question. I think Council, you'll agree with me. We have pockets in this community, and Eric, you're well aware of the pockets we have that might make a better location for this
Would
place.
that not be something that?
That might be something that might be,
Seriously looked at?
that might be something of consideration that, you know, we should maybe have that
Like right
conversation.
through the middle of, right where the elevator and everything is, that's,
Like, it seems like there's oodles of space other than to try and squeeze this thing into a little community, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
A little quiet neighborhood, we're gonna try and jam this 14 unit place in when we've got oodles of green space here, that's the green space. But really, we could put this
Sure.
and to satisfy everybody.
No,
We
that's
have more people living in the town and we're not trying to cram them all into one little corner of town.
Daphne?
Yeah, just with concern with it not being a through road, I'm concerned about emergency vehicles, if there's a fire in the neighborhood, how do people get out?
That's very
A
valid.
lot of problems like that.
Thank you. Teresa?
No, I was just gonna make a comment and ultimately, does anyone want a fourplex? No, but they are in every community. Like no one wants, right? Like we live in our idyllic little town, right? But we need development because people I see on Facebook bitch about, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. The only way we're gonna get it is if we have more tax dollars. And fourplexes and duplexes and triplexes and residential developments, it's inevitable. And yeah.
Appreciate the comment. Any further from council?
The only thing is, yeah, we all don't want it in our backyard because it's falling up
It's
my
different.
privacy, but
It's different.
it's progress.
I'd like to make a suggestion to council. There's a few items here that we should maybe get clarification on. Would council entertain the idea of tabling this and coming up with a decision at the next council meeting? Would that be something that
I'd
we
support
would-
that. I'd support that. I'd like to think it over. And
Yeah.
I've been taking a daily drive down the street. I want to take a few more.
Councilor Nishabara, you're in favor of that? Councilor Clacky?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to just table this and just, there's a few pointed questions we're gonna have to do a little bit more homework on and then we can at least come up with something on at our next one.
Can I just say something? Because I'm one of the partners in this.
Okay, sure.
See, the thing that scares me is I love your town. We don't keep young people here, this town's gonna die. We all know this, right? So if we go on to the old system and not, embrace this type of development, especially from guys like us that have a foothold in the community, I know a lot of the people here. I think in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years, when big business comes here, you guys are just gonna get run over, or no one's gonna stay. And I love this place. I ride horses, I hunt, I do everything around here. So I don't wanna see that go.
Appreciate that. Yep, yeah, and this is why we go through this process to make sure that we hear everybody. Patty?
What had they build where the railroad track was? Like 14 units, like right across.
And it's a good point, and it's something that I think
You
council
guys
needs to
bought the
consider.
land and you're not using it.
Yeah, I think, Patty, you're absolutely right. I think we have some things to discuss. Yeah, I want to see development, I really do, and I just, we need to somehow find a way, right? Okay, I'd like to table this, to finalize this with a resolution following council meeting. I do appreciate the people that came in today for this public hearing. It is important that your voices are heard. I do believe that we all have a little piece in this school development, and we need to make sure that we're satisfied with it. Again, thank you if you want to stick around for the remaining of the council meeting, I have no problem with that. If there's anything further, be it resolved that the Council of Town of Tuelon close the public hearing for bylaw. We don't have a bylaw at this point. We're going to close this at 6:39. Moved by Councilor Nishabara. I should Chris, do I need to do a resolution to table? Probably
You
should.
you should,
Yeah,
but that can come after
that
the,
can come after this, okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna, again, we're closing the public hearing at 6:40 PM, moved by Councilor Shabata, second by Councilor Apples. All in favor? Carried. And then, Chris,
reconvene the meeting.
reconvene. It will be resolved that the Council of Town of Tuelon reconvene the regular meeting of council at 6:40 PM. Moved by Councilor Shabata, second by Councilor Apples. All in favor? Carried.
You can make your decision at the, further down on the agenda where it's the planning part of it.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Yes. Yep, we'll table it there. Thank you. So, I guess we want to get Kurt.
Then let the people in the lobby make it in.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, put it, just put it in the closet.
Come on in. What? Okay. Hey, Chris, we're all good to go?
Yeah, we're at the delegation.
Yes, we're on the delegation, 6.1. Safer School Walkthrough Delegation. Who is proposing this? Hello there.
Good evening, Council. My name is Marge Johnsen. I have lived and worked in Teulon for a long, long time. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. And thanks also to Councillor Kurt Ansley. We have been invited to participate and be part of a solution to a problem that is long overdue in our community. We invite Council to ask questions. However, please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Today, with myself, we have Brian Burkowski, Ken and Iris Overby, Lenore Scravick, Elaine Good in attendance. Also, in support of this delegation, but sending their regrets tonight due to scheduling conflicts are Lorraine Murray, Ruth Morrison, and Rod Ladowski. So the reason we're here, the community of Teulon has become accustomed to uncontrolled and unorganized child pedestrian street crossings in and around our two local schools. We have four main concerns regarding the children's street crossings in our community. Number one, for several years, students walking along the gravel path along First Street Northeast, School Street, have been forced to cross Highway 17 at an uncontrolled location to access the south half of the community because the path does not connect to the only crosswalk the community has, which is a short distance away. Number two, students walking to and from either of the schools are crossing First Street Northeast at random locations, anywhere along the street to get to the northeast corner of the community because of the lack of dedicated crossing locations. These situations have existed for decades. Several complaints have occurred repeatedly from bus drivers, teachers, parents, and the general motoring public. The common comment, many are simply surprised their child has not yet been struck by a vehicle. And why does the town allow this to continue? Number three, the northwest corner of the community has natural barriers that prevent children from accessing either school. There's a ditch that is predominantly full of water throughout the warmer months and unplowed access in the winter months. It causes these students great difficulty getting to school, which requires them to cross the highway uncontrolled, to simply cross it again to get to the current crosswalk. Number 4, now, with the addition of a new nonprofit daycare in the community, this has brought to light the lack of sidewalks in the northeast corner of the community. This daycare school-age program needs to walk a now large group of children to the school twice per day. The Interlake School Division prefers that these children enter at a desired location, the main entrance in front of the school. To do this, these children who are very young have to cross a highway at an uncontrolled location to simply cross it again in front of the school. Allowing these unsafe crossings to simply continue is more dangerous today than it has been in past years. Distracted driving is becoming more and more commonplace, and students old enough, as well as adults, to hold a cell phone are walking distracted as well. Thank you. Hanover B has some stats to share.
Good evening. I'd like to read some stats that are only a few years old. In Winnipeg, between 2018 and 2020, 24 pedestrians were killed and 527 were badly injured. Brandon recorded 28 pedestrian injuries during that same period. Some of the general infrastructure issues that contributed to this was problems, including the absence of mid-block crosswalk, were reported in 8% of pedestrian fatalities. Contributing factors to collisions are the following: impairment, drivers without a license or registered vehicle, areas not well lit or identified as areas of safe crossing, and near highways. So we have talked statistics about Winnipeg and Brandon. But here's an interesting stat. 84% of fatalities happen in rural areas, with 19% being in northern areas. In 2021, the rate of fatal child pedestrian injuries was nearly twice as high in rural areas compared to urban areas. These last couple figures highlight the importance of targeted safety measures in rural areas to reduce the number of injuries and fatalities. Thank you. And now, Lenore Scravick.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lenore Scravick. I've been born and raised in Tuelon. I attended both Tuelon Elementary and Tuelon Collegiate. I then became a teacher and taught at both Tuelon Elementary and Tuelon Collegiate. My last few years at Tuelon Elementary as administrator, I did bus duty every day. So I was out there watching the children crossing School Road, especially the children from the northeast sector. Can't commit to the bus loop. It was always dangerous and there was a few scary incidents. So that's one reason why this really caught my eye and I'm part of this delegation. Council's recent decision to install a crosswalk at 2nd Avenue Northeast near the high school will definitely benefit the children in the northeast corner of the community to go to and from the high school. Thank you. But what about the children crossing our school street to get to the elementary school that reside in that northeast corner of the community? These younger children, as well as including the daycare's 30 school-age children this fall. What's going to help them? A previous council supported a walking path from our Green Acres Park to the elementary school to accommodate the then new park location of Teulon Daycare. That asphalt walking path serves the Teulon daycare's purpose, but it has also become a desired walkway for the rest of the community and is used daily. Today, though, there seems to be resistance to simply plow the snow for an unused town-owned one-block length of back lane for the new daycare to get their kids to the same school. It's the shortest and most direct path of access to the daycare for the daycare children to get to the elementary school, despite a corner of the community that doesn't have a single sidewalk. This path keeps them from having to walk on the street in and amongst vehicle traffic. We feel that this back lane path would also serve as an active transportation corridor for every resident in the northeast corner of the community, including the new 55+ residents at the same location as the daycare, as well as all the other school-age children in that area of town because of lack of sidewalks and getting safely to school. However, what is town council going to do to accommodate this new entity safety requirement? All of the council have seen the video of the Safer Walkways proposal. We are here to say that we support every aspect of this proposal. Council has now met twice with the 3 members of the Interlake School Division, members that do not reside in our community and are opposed to a safer walking proposal recommendation. The school division would rather see the town pay for higher cost multiple crosswalk installations on Highway 17, as opposed to crosswalks located on the lower traffic street that our schools are located on. We feel that the recommendation proposed in the Safer Walkway proposal are the safest solutions for the problems we currently have, and we would like to see these suggestions imposed immediately. This has been talked about in the community for 2 years. It has been a concern of mine for much longer. How much longer is this group going to talk about this before they realize the common sense solutions that are in front of them? This group in front of you is here to say that we are either residents of the community or residents a stone throw from the town's border. Regardless of where we currently live, we have all spent our working careers in the Interlake School Division, working in the Teulon schools. We represent over 250 years of combined experience working in this community. I'm sorry, this can't leave you off yet. We have represent over 250 years of combined experience working in this community, teaching this community's children, and watching these concerns unfold every day over the years. As many of us have individually taught for 30 possible years here, the members of this community would like to see this progress occur for the safety of our children's children now, as well as all the other members in the northeast sector of town. This council has all the information they need regarding this. They know where their property boundaries are, and you have talked about the various complaints at length. The public has provided feedback every time this topic comes up, whether it be on social media or by filling this audience every time this is discussed at council meeting. The next step is action. We would like to see this voted on and carried out already. 2 of the councillors are offering to pay the improvements so it doesn't impact the town budget. So this potentially can take place this fall for the upcoming school year. Please, it's time for a vote on this already. Thank you.
Councillor Clicky. Comments?
So what they're saying, I agree full-heartedly, and it was brought up again on our other delegation. We're gonna push 24 housing or 16 housing units or 14 housing units. The people think there's more traffic. We got 17 kids there and we got no sidewalks. And they don't wanna have that extra traffic. We have more traffic coming through Tuelon all the time. Traffic isn't gonna get less. I think this is such a simple thing to do that we should do it. It's a no-brainer.
Thank you very much to the delegation, to everybody who's here, and everybody. It's great. It's a little retrospective of my elementary school years. High school for Mr. Overby. I particularly appreciated that Mr. Overby was the one who presented the statistics. That was bang on. So, and I've said it before. Many people in in the room right now have heard me say it. I support the idea of having something safer for, again, it's a problem. It was a problem when I went to school here, elementary school, high school. I live on First Avenue Northeast. My kids have crossed that street to get to school, elementary and high school. The reason I say thank you to you as a delegation is this is honestly the first time in this chamber that the full plan has been actually discussed and presented. Outside of this chamber, the plan has been posted on YouTube. It has been discussed, but not within this council chamber. This is the first time that it has officially been, this is a plan, and we the town, we the people of the town, support this and want to see this happen. Up until now, it has been 1, 2 voices in this chamber. So I really, really appreciate that, because that helps clarify a lot for, I'll speak for council, that helps clarify for council. One thing I do want to address, there are two points I want to address. First of all, the statistic around having dedicated crosswalks. That there's a certain percentage, I didn't write it down, there's a certain percentage, I'm out of touch with keeping notes when Mr. Overby's talking. There was a specific statistic around not having a controlled crossing. And the particular term you used was mid-block.
Yes.
And I do have a concern, personally, I have a concern with putting the crossing that close to a main intersection, right off of Highway 17, right off of Beach Road. I have a concern with funneling traffic to that specific spot, all the traffic. If we put one crosswalk and we put that crosswalk there, I have a significant concern about funneling all of the traffic that we're talking about, the daycare, the 55 plus, the residents of my corner of town, the children that live in my corner of town, into that very busy corner, first thing in the morning and at the end of the day. That's one of the reasons why I've said we have a crosswalk, we've got budget to do a crosswalk, let's put it in the middle of School Street, so it is mid-block and there's plenty of view to either end to see what's going on. It's not as convenient or as direct, I think the direct was the term that was used, of a path. I feel it's safer to put it in the middle of the block, which is why I've advocated for putting a crosswalk in the middle of the block. And I'm forgetting my second point now. It's already been a long night. The other one that I did want to clarify, which is part of why I say thank you. What we heard from the Interlake School Division was officially, we've never brought a plan to them, which is true. This council has not had a formal, fully fleshed plan put in front of us for us 5 people, or at least 3 of us, to agree on, to say this is the official position of council and how we want to move forward. Because we have not had the coherent plan, and I've talked to some people in this room about that because they've asked me the question of why isn't this done yet? Because we have not had that cohesive plan that we as council could agree on and bring forward as our position, there's nothing for them to disagree with. Now we have a cohesive, coherent plan that we can sit down, deliberate, discuss, and move forward on. Anybody who's been here I get frustrated. I get very, very frustrated at the speed at which we move, because it seems like we just keep talking and the narrative keeps changing and the plan keeps changing, and it's a constant set of moving goalposts. This discussion started with a back lane. Then it became a back lane plus a crosswalk. Then it became a crosswalk. Then it became a back lane, a crosswalk, and a path. And it's extraordinarily difficult to get 5 people to agree on the same thing on a good day, but when what we're trying to discuss, deliberate, and agree on changes every time we have the conversation, it becomes even more difficult. So I really do want to reiterate, I really appreciate the delegation coming here today and putting that forward officially. That's it. Those are my comments.
Thank you. I have to say the same. I have to say thank you very much to the delegate for coming in tonight. This is important that we have somebody that's a group that is spearheading this and bringing it forward. I agree with that. We've met with the school division. It is so important that we collaborate with the school division, This piece of property is, we're talking the path in front between the school and the highways. Teulon doesn't own that piece of property. That is, and Councillor Ansel has hired a surveyor, and he's determined that, and we see the evidence. The issue is when we go through this application, the highways is going to be looking at, okay, are all parties in favor of this? Well, school division's made it very clear, and I asked them at the second meeting, I said, are you clear? I want to be clear on this. You're opposed to the path in front? Yep, the edges, we want the edges to stay. We're opposed to the back lane funneling onto the bus loop. We had a conversation regarding, so the crosswalk is going to cross on the south corner of the bus loop. The school division has a concern that students going into that area. To Michael's concern regarding the back lane crosswalk at the intersection, or I mean at the corner where you turn off Beach Road and on, you got maybe 2 or 3 cars that will have to stop. It's going to be congested. Again, I'm not opposed to finding a safe way to get students, kids, people in this community, but we need to look at it as a whole. There's pockets of this community that have dire problems where people are just walking all over the streets. We are a community of 1,100 people. I want to comment on the action, that we need to do action. Yes, we're government. Yes, we're municipality. We go through a process. We go through a process, and that's budget deliberations once a year. Once a year, we have to sit down as a business. You can imagine, you're running a $3 million business, you got to sit down and put your I's and cross your T's, and you need to budget because we're playing with your money, your tax money. I can't, and I'm not stand in front of that. If we go into budget deliberations and we agree as council, we spend weekends, weekdays, weekend nights going through line by line and coming up with a plan. We throw ideas on the table, they hit the cutting room floor as fast as they go on the table. When we did our 2024 budget deliberations, we decided these are the things we're doing for the community this year. At that time, we did not budget for plans and pathways and so forth for this fiscal year. This has been coming up, and when council sees a plan, a formal plan, like at the end of the day, we're putting a walkway in, okay? The area is prone to flooding, okay? So we put a raised walkway. And again, I'm just talking out of turn because I haven't seen a plan yet. I don't know what this looks like. So we raise a sidewalk. Now we have flooding on both sides of the property. How many property owners do we have here that are going to be on that back lane? One. Okay, that's a concern. Are the other residents aware that their properties could be flooded by a backup of water? If that's the plan, I don't know. Are these residents aware that you will not have vehicle access to your property anymore? If it becomes a pathway and it's pedestrian only, how do the taxpayers get to the back of the properties? I'd like to see those residents, I'd really like to hear from them and to see whether they want that. Again, we're making decisions on their behalf, not just the students, not just the people of 55 plus. I agree, safety is important. Ken, your statistics, I agree with you 100%. Yes, Selkirk, Winnipeg, we're 1,100 people. It's a little different. I don't know what the counts are on 17, but it is a problem. In every little community, I look at Stony Mountain, they don't have any sidewalks, they don't have ditches. Like everybody has the same issues. We are flushing this out with secondary planning. But I guess where I'm going with this is that we have a budget to follow for 2024, and it's not in our budget to move forward with this. Yes, Councillor Ansel and Councillor Klecki are interested in donating some funds to get the project going. I still think we need a concrete plan in place to understand what we're up against. And when the keys are handed over to the new sidewalk, and all the residents are happy that they can't access their property, they're good with that. Well, we got to maintain this thing too. Okay, so we're going to have to push that snow. We're going to have to, and that's not a problem. We just need to change our priorities and add it to the priority list. Okay, when does that piece? Is it a lot of property? Not really. It could probably be pushed fairly quickly. Okay, and then where do we go? Is it security? Do we have lighting issues? Is there going to be problems? So forth. I I know, but those are some things that we really, as a group, need to consider. More importantly, it's budget. We have a budget to follow. We have a responsibility as council and that me as mayor to ensure that we meet budget. We put this to Chris, and Chris, we hired Chris to run the company for us. So it's important. Is it a slow moving wheel? Yes, it is. It is a very slow moving wheel. If it's in our wheelhouse and we've approved this from our budget deliberations, yeah, we'd be already started and this would be in place. But at this point, we're still talking about it because we still don't have a complete plan of what we're going to see and what we're going to be faced with. Because at the end of the day, we answer to the residents and the ratepayers of Teulon. So I need to be in the position to say, yeah, we've got it all the bases covered. Yeah, your taxes might be going up a little bit and it's going up by this much. Maybe not. But we need to be educated enough to make a reasonable decision. That's all I got to say. Councilor Spada.
I agree 100%. The information, I didn't even think about flooding and raising up that thing and making it a pathway, and I didn't even think in people getting to their backyards. And I mean, obviously safety of the kids first is number one priority. I think, and two, it's just so confusing. I'm like, hey, I don't understand why, like Michael said, it's gone from this to this to this, and that's great, but it's like, we need the actual plan. And I'm a visual person. I went there and I went by the crosswalk where we discussed at the last meeting where we were gonna put it. And I was like, yeah, this is perfect. You don't have people coming off 17 onto School Road and boom, there's a crosswalk. Like, there could be a kid right there, push the button and they didn't see. So yes, I agree with everything everybody's saying. That it's all good. I think we're all on the same page. It's like our papers are in the air. And we just need to sort everything out and have a plan. And like you said, budget. This is what we talked about, what we're doing this year. We're putting in a crosswalk this year. So that's step one or phase one of this issue that we have, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Councilor Ransom.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, for this feedback. This is a lot of detail that has not been talked about before. So this is the first I'm hearing of concerns regarding building up a walking path down a back lane, creating flooding concerns, restricting access for some residents possibly, very valid concerns. A comment regarding children possibly walking in the bus loop and the school division having a concern with that, a very legitimate concern, definitely, for sure. As far as details and things like that, I mean, we've all seen the video that was proposed. That is the detail as to what it is that I am proposing and what this group is here to support. Very much in detail. So just to clarify a couple things, there's been no talk about putting gravel down a back lane. This is simply leaving it the back lane the way it is. It's something that isn't prone to flooding. We've had a very wet year this year. There's no low spots in there whatsoever, so no gravel needs to go down, nothing needs to change in that respect. So, and that was part of the conversations that I had with residents in the back lane, because those are some of the concerns they had as well. And based on that feedback and that research, that was, what was decided that, hey, this makes the most sense. Let's not gravel it. Let's leave it a nice, natural walking path the way it is. The only thing the town would have to do would be to plow a 5-foot wide path going down it in the wintertime, which was what the request was last winter regarding this. It's the comment about funneling kids through the bus loop. I mean, this is based on the response from our school division. Our school division simply hasn't taken the time to fully understand the details of the proposal. Nowhere in there is it recommended or suggested that children should be walking into the bus loop. That's the whole idea behind a walking path approach. It would have its own back lane path, would have its own access to the current walking path that's in place. So no child would need to be walking in a bus loop. That is simply a misunderstanding on the school division's part. And it just leads to misinformation. And it's comments like that that I started to see popping up here and there that really said to me, you know what, I need to actually put a video out there as to the details of this, because people are getting this wrong. People are assuming things. People are pulling ideas out of thin air regarding what it is I'm proposing. You know, this group sits here and says, we don't know the details, we don't know the plan, but we've all seen the walking path proposal. The details are written there. Like, I'm not sure what else I could do to draw it out. It has diagrams, it has arrows, it showed the direction that children and the community would be traveling in. It is there in as much detail as I can possibly put for the intention of what's being proposed. Now, you know, Todd, regarding your comment regarding collaboration with the school, yes, we've talked to the school twice now. And you know what, it is what it is. You're not always going to agree with your partners in the community. The Department of Highways only requires the local traffic authority's support. So the Department of Highways is not going to get into a match of neighbor versus neighbor. It's the local traffic authority that is the one that will approach the Department of Highways for any proposed work in their right of way. So just to clarify that, and that's again just me doing my personal research on this and talking to, you know, the Highways Department and several departments just to confirm my facts, and some of which Chris has found out as well, and there's probably maybe others he's yet to find out, which is fine. Now, I completely understand budget deliberations. I totally get it. We've budgeted $2,000 for one crosswalk on the street. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think we need to keep going. And that's the whole reason behind, you know, myself and Councillor Kleckby offering to fund this. Because, like, you know, we could talk about this forever, and we can, you know, go on and on and on about this, but obviously the community is in support of this. If it's just a money issue, you know what, let's just take that off the table. Let's just make it easy. Let's just say that, you know what, 2 people are gonna pay for this because we just wanna see this happen without having an impact on our budget. As far as maintenance and ongoing costs, well, I think I answered that for the back lane portion of it. You know, no gravel, no change in there, simply, you know what, maintaining the status quo. I think John Blackwood's the one cutting grass. He's probably gonna continue doing that. Maybe we should probably think of doing that, but you know, neither here nor there. And as far as maintenance of a walking path in front of the school, yes, that would be something new. That would cost as much to maintain as the current walking path that goes, you know, north to south beside our 2 schools. What that dollar amount is, well, you know, if our public works has to go up and down this thing with a skid steer twice a month to plow snow, well, that's what the cost is gonna be. What you can guarantee, it's gonna be less than probably $1,000 a year. This is very low, you know, maintenance. It's a simple gravel path, pretty low key. Yeah, one day you might have to add some gravel. Like, we need to put some gravel at the corner of the walking path that's there now. It's gonna cost us a couple $100 to do that. Those are the things that are gonna continue to come up, and, you know, as we have to maintain things. Is there a way to predict exactly what that dollar amount is? No, because it's gonna depend on how many times it snows, how many times it rains, for when we have to cut the grass. There'll be some contributing factors, but it's gonna be economical, guys. Like, we're not building a highway. We're not gonna have to tie into the gas tax fund to do this. So, I mean, and again, it was all in the video, and this is the first I'm hearing of any detailed questions about it. But I'm glad that we're here. I'm glad that we're at this point. I'm glad I can speak to that. Michael, regarding your concern of children crossing mid-block. So, you know, we have 2 blocks. We have the block that goes from Highway 17 to First Avenue, and then we have the block that goes from First Avenue to Second Avenue, and we have the 3rd block that goes from Second to 3rd. So the crosswalk we did agree on is at Second Avenue, so that's in the middle of the 3 blocks. Regarding your concern of a mid-block crosswalk at the location at the cenotaph. So I understand where you're coming from. This is something that's new. Is this right? Is this not right? You know, historically, when you crossed mid-block anywhere, it was considered jaywalking. It was frowned upon. It was something that, you know, you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to cross at the intersection because that's where the crosswalk is, that's where the street lights are, that's where the walk light is, that's where the controls are for you to cross safely. But like everything else in our world, things are changing and perception is changing regarding that as well. So believe it or not, intersections are, and there's some stats behind this. So men over the age of 50 are more likely to be hit at an intersection when they're crossing the street with the cross light. I don't know why it's men over 50, but that's the stat. Because the reason this is because drivers turning left, you know, are navigating the traffic. They're turning left, they see a clearing, and then they have to stop because there's a pedestrian crossing, and the pedestrian actually has the right of way. And those pedestrians are getting hit. And the reason main intersections like that are more dangerous than mid-blocks is because you're watching 4 directions in a 4-way stop. In our case, for Highway 17, where it intersects First Street, you're looking at it's a 3-way intersection. So what's actually going on is planners are actually taking a hard look at mid-block crosswalks as a safer alternative. And there's case studies here regarding it. Basically, if you're gonna continuously have traffic trying to cross mid-block, you give them a mid-block crosswalk. Because pedestrians are always going to go in the direction they want to go, and they're less likely to have to detour to go around. Now, I mean, you know, and this is big. This is cities like New York revisiting the mid-block pedestrian crossing, finding that it's safer. But I mean, we're not used to that. We're used to what we're used to. You know, 26% of all pedestrian accidents occurred by the mid-block dash, 25% at intersections where they're supposed to be, 50% by random vehicles jumping onto the sidewalk and doing things they shouldn't be doing. It shows that, you know, these marked crossing at intersections are not as safe as assumed. Installing correct, visible, mid-block pedestrian crossings would mitigate crashes. And the FHA, which is an American authority, because I have no idea what they stand for, they estimate that these crossings are workable, mid-block crossings are workable at speeds of 30 miles per hour or 50 kilometers an hour. Mid-block crosswalks are a tool that communities use, but it has to be placed in the right situation. You don't put a mid-block crosswalk on a highway. You don't expect highway traffic to stop to almost a complete stop to go over a speed bump. They only work for where they're designed, and they're designed for residential schools, which is why you see them predominantly outside of schools, because the traffic is already going at a slow rate of speed. If we're serious about encouraging sidewalk users to walk and roll to school, we need to look at how to get them across the road safely. And you know, this authority says it's well worth revisiting the mid-block crosswalk. This is in our secondary plan, guys. Like this planning group, WSP, that we hired to say, hey, what do you recommend for a plan for our community? So straight out of our secondary plan, in planning for future school sites or future developments near schools, ensure provisions are made for a sidewalk connectivity between the schools and catchment areas. Like you have a daycare that popped in. Let's look after them. Let's make sure they can get to the school safely. You know, again, referring to the secondary plan, the town of Tuelon has a multi-use path. It's approximately 4 meters wide. It's located at the Tuelon Elementary and the Collegiate. It starts at the Collegiate parking lot running the west side of First Street Northeast to Highway 17. It connects to another path that loops around the school grounds on the north side of the elementary school, which features hills for cyclists. Sounds fabulous. Where the path ends at Highway 17, cyclists have to continue riding on the road, and pedestrians need to cross the highway to reach the sidewalk on the other side. There's no formal crossing at this location. And that's kind of a finger right at us that, you know, there are some things we should be fixing maybe around here. But I mean, we've all been here long enough to understand that what we've been living with, we've come accustomed to. And it took me building this development to take a hard look at this to go, what's the way these kids are gonna go to school? And then your eyes are open to all these things. So we have talked about this a lot, I agree, and the plan has changed because as my eyes are open to this, I keep discovering more issues. So there's more to fix. So I finally have a plan put together. That's the plan that was on social media to say, hey, hey guys, here's something we can do to solve a variety of problems that we've been used to. And it aligns with our secondary plan. It aligns with what's going on in the rest of the world. This isn't a hard decision. It really isn't. I feel that I've upset everybody by putting it on social media. And you know what? I apologize, but I don't apologize. Because the public needs to know the details of what I'm proposing, because there's so much misinformation out there about it. The only way you do this is by explaining to the public one-on-one what it is I'm proposing. And a very good tool to do that is social media. So I'm glad that I did it. I think it worked great. It got the message across. I am sorry that I feel that some of this council feels I've stepped on some toes about it. That was not the intention. It was to simply get it out there in detail and deal with the misinformation that was out there about this. So, I mean, to sum it up, like, we have children running across streets. We have children running across a provincial highway. We have children trying to cross a ditch full of water simply to get to school. We've become used to this, but it doesn't make it right. It's simply wrong. You know, other councils have actually identified this in our community as a problem as well. They have. I've talked to Bert Campbell about this at length. It just falls through the cracks. Why? Because nobody's getting hit by a vehicle. It continues on, life goes on, and we'll deal with other problems as they come up. But it's not that I'm the first one to discover this. This has been talked about at length. I'm glad that we're budgeting for one crosswalk at high school. I'd like to see the process continue for the rest of the children in the community. So like I said, Councillor Klecki and I decided we'd like to fund this personally. A gravel walking path to replace the hedge in front of the elementary school to connect with the northwest and northeast corners of the community with the preferred entrance of the school. So, I mean, guys, I'm tired of talking about this and you're tired about hearing it. So I'd like us to put the rubber to the road, and I'd like to make a couple motions about this already. Does anybody object to that?
I'd like to make a comment.
Absolutely.
All good. I'm not gonna take up everybody's time with a lot of that. I do wanna go back to the comment that I made to the delegation. Are you suggesting, Councillor Ansel, that the appropriate way for this council to do business is not to present anything officially in council, but if I want to have something done, I should record a video, put it on social media, and not send it to you? Because my wife is the one that provided me your plan. So it would have been, and I've suggested this before, it would have been more efficient to, if you want to, if you feel that it is more efficient, if you feel that it is more comprehensive, I agree, you have a lot of detail in your video, that is the most effective way for you to present that detailed plan to council. Should that not have come to council from you, rather than me finding it on Facebook or being texted by my wife? This is literally the first time that any detail on this plan or any support from the residents of the community has come to this council. And that is what I'm frustrated about. I don't care, I'll talk about this till the cows come home. But we've been talking about it for 2 bloody years. We don't even have a crosswalk in yet. And this is the first time residents of the town or surrounding have shown up to be a delegation. Everything else has been you, and it's great that you're spearheading this and you're moving it forward. I do not object to the outcomes that you are trying to do. I object to the way you are going about achieving those outcomes, because it hamstrings me. I'll speak for me, I won't speak for council. It hamstrings me when I am sitting at this table and I have great parents in the town that are grabbing me a big way and saying, hey, stop by, put on your council hat, I want to talk. I don't have a plan. Nothing official. Unless the way that this council should be operating on a go-forward basis, if I feel that there's something important that needs to be done in town, I should put a YouTube video together and send it out to social media and hope it hits the right people. The plan is good. I like the plan. I support the plan. We don't have a plan because it's never hit this chamber. That's where my concern has been, and I've expressed that concern before. Never mind content of the YouTube video, whatever. It did do a very good job, and I told you that in council. It did a very good job of laying out the plan. But it never came from you. Not to me. I can't speak for the rest of council, but it never came to me from you. It was never presented by you. It was never presented officially in this room. And I've said that.
There was an official delegation. I got up from the side of this council.
You did.
And I walked to the other side.
It's not the residents of the town.
So let me ask this, okay? Are we here to simply make decisions based on who walks through our door requesting something at any given time? Or are we not who have been voted in, and do these people not put their faith in us by voting for us to carry out the actions that we believe is right for the community? That's what we are as elected officials. The fact that a group is finally standing in front of you, and you feel that that's the only way the public is represented here? No, the public is represented by the votes they put in to put us behind this bench. That's what we're here for. The public has done that. They say, we trust you with the decisions that you're going to make to run our community. So the fact that I'm spearheading this seems to be what most people are offended on, and you shouldn't be. I'm here to represent the public. It's unfortunate that it gets to the point where I have to bring the public to say, can you please come to council to support this? Because apparently I don't have enough weight on my own as councillor to bend the ear of council about this. Everybody said we've talked about this enough, and we have. Every detail we've talked about is flushed out, except for a couple of concerns regarding is there gravel on the backlink path or not. That is brand new. So, brand new.
We'll just clarify something, Mr. Ansel. If we go to highways, we're gonna have to have a plan.
Yes.
So what's the plan? We're just mowing down, or there's more than just taking down trees. There's a base, what are we doing with telecommunications? Like, there's gotta be, you must have something.
The spec needs to be approved by the Department of Highways. So the conversation first needs to be, yes, we're gonna support it. What's the next step? The next step should be, well, we should talk with the Highways Department and see what they want. Right?
It's the plan and the spec that the highways will need.
And the sad part is that we actually asked our CAO to look into this once already. We sat at this council table and we said, Chris, can you look into this Department of Highways and see what's required? And we came back with nothing. We came back with, well, we kind of need to know what the decision of council is. So we just went in a great big circle. And we waited a month between emails for that, which is just unfortunate. That direction should have been, here's what the Highways Department wants, and this is what we're gonna be required to do. At the end of the day, guys, this is about the safety of kids, not how Kurt Ansel communicates with council and the public. We're gonna agree to disagree on what the responsibility of council is. I feel I'm here to represent council or to represent the public, and the rest of this council, I'm getting the flavor that you feel that it's up to the public to come to us if they want us to do something. And I think that's just wrong. I'm gonna put all this aside because we're just gonna go back and forth on this, and I don't want to do that. Michael, I apologize for offending you. It was not personal.
You're not offending me. I thanked the delegation for coming because this is the first time we've had a delegation of the ratepayers.
All right.
What I am saying from a process standpoint, I do not feel that if I had a presentation for council that I should, go ahead, I record a video, throw it out there, do whatever I want, and post it on Facebook, I've got the idea. But does it disconnect? There's nothing saying that this is the plan. There's a YouTube video.
With a very detailed plan.
Which I didn't even receive from you. So that, to me, wouldn't even be a present.
Well,
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you and I may not necessarily agree on procedure and process, and that's fine. And we all stood up in front of these people and said we're gonna work together, and that's what we're doing. At the end of the day, again, I agree with the outcomes that you're going for. Disagree to a degree with the process that you take, and I've told you that. But at the end of the day, I agree with the outcomes. So, and I've been very vocal, particularly in the last few meetings, Cal and council, about the fact that nothing is getting done. And I am tired of talking about this and not showing anything for it. Get a damn crosswalk in. It's phase one. Put a crosswalk, put another crosswalk, put 7 crosswalks. That's what we decide we need to do.
I have a question though.
Yes.
Councillor Hettels, you had mentioned when we talked, crossing at 2nd Avenue Northeast.
Yes.
And I kick myself 100 times why I didn't ask you, where do the elementary students go once they cross?
Well, I never said it was ideal.
Yeah, but
It was, to my mind, and again, Kurt's clearly done a lot more research on statistics and traffic patterns and stuff like that. I simply look at, I have one crosswalk to place on that street. Where's the safest place for me to put one crosswalk? Understanding we can put a second, we can put a third, we can put trails with lights and all the rest of that, that's great. But right now, I've got one crosswalk and I gotta put it somewhere on that street.
okay, but where do the elementary students go once they've crossed that street?
Then they would have to take the path.
And it goes to the bus loop,
Right.
the south end of the bus loop, and that.
Yes, they would have to cross over, you are 100% correct, they would have to cross over the bus loop. Again, not ideal.
Yeah.
That's why you need the other.
That's why
one,
we
so-
need the extension.
Yeah, again, this was my opinion based
Okay.
on, I have one crosswalk to put down. That's it.
Then just put one more for the other half of the population.
Because there's nothing
Only
saying that
need
we,
two.
because there's nothing saying that we can't do a second crosswalk
That's right.
later, there's nothing saying we can't do a path later, but my
Thank you.
frustration and what my opinion is that we've talked about this way too much, we've talked about this long enough. I have budget for one crosswalk, my opinion is that crosswalk should go there, because that's what makes the most sense to me, in my opinion.
For the collegiate, that's perfect.
Counselor
Thank you.
Ansel has a plan. Myself and him are willing to fund it. It's not a perfect plan. It's not written in stone that that's the only way it's gonna stay. We can change this thing in 5 years if we had to. It's not rock solid. If something isn't working perfect, you modify it. But we need to do something because we're sitting here and we're talking about stuff. And well, we got one sign in, but here we're willing to do a major change to do the safety of the kids. And we get back to the little thing and, well, you know, the maintenance thing. Well, if a kid gets hit and a kid gets killed, what does your maintenance mean anyway? Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maintenance means nothing.
Glenn, as I said at our last meeting, paint and posts. Put the damn thing in, and if it means that we need to move it later, move it later.
Okay,
It's
well,
paint and posts.
it sounds like we're in agreement to do something. We're in agreement that Kurt works in mysterious ways, and that's fine. I'm an entrepreneur that gets things done. I'm still learning to communicate with 4 other people to talk things to death, and so be it, Michael, I'll get there for you. Again, I apologize if I upset you, but let's just decide if what's been proposed is right for the safety of the children, right? So I'd like to make a couple motions here, guys. I'd like to make a motion that the hedge, to remove it in front of the school, leaving the trees in place, to make room for a gravel walking path that goes from the east to the west along the entire front of the school, and that Councillor Klecky and myself be allowed to pay for the cost personally for this. I'd like that the CAO would engage with the Department of Highways to do this, as this work would be performed entirely on the property owned by the Department of Highways, including the removal of an existing highway approach, so students are encouraged to use the current highway crosswalk in front of the elementary school. That is one resolution to deal with one particular property, a property that we do not own. The second resolution I'd like to make, or motion I'd like to make, is for our public works to identify a second crosswalk location at the Cenotaph Monument location between the Cenotaph and the back lane between 1st and 2nd Street Northeast, and that the public works construct this walking path approach so that the back lane can be used as a year-round walking path for all the students and residents of the northeast corner of the community to be able to have access to the current high school path without having to walk in the elementary school bus loop driveway, and that this be budgeted for in the 2025 budget year. And that the back lane walking path be accessible year-round, not graveling it, just that it be accessible. And that we review this project in 2025 to determine if any further improvement need to be made in the next year's budget. So paint on the pavement, sticks on the side with signs, the same thing we talked about for the second crosswalk. And let's just not, you know, if this is something we decide to go forward with, let's do it and then let's review. Is this working? Is there anything we can do to make it better? So, Chris, I don't know how to go about this. Those are the 2 motions I'd like to put forward. Do we attack these one by one? And I guess first of all, does anybody have an interest in seconding these motions? I guess.
I think according to your agenda, we should do the business arising from the minutes. We follow the agenda, and then under new business at the end, we can probably entertain any ideas for resolutions come forward.
Can I just make a comment, or like a question? I just want to say that as a resident whose property backs onto the right of way, back lane, whatever it's called, I was surprised when I watched your video because you said that you approached all property owners and I was not approached. So I was quite surprised, and I would have thought that you as a landlord would have reached out, right?
I think the word was I approached all residents. So what I did, and this was when this was first proposed back when we first jumped on council, so this is a couple of years old now. What I did was I knocked on every door, I had a conversation with everybody that answered the door. And the ones that didn't answer the door, I put the information in their door with my phone number and asked them to call me if they have any concerns about it. So I didn't talk to every owner, I talked to every resident, so just to clarify. And you know what, Therese, you're right, because, just not long ago, I think it was, a month or so ago, somebody poked their head up and go, this is the first I'm hearing of this, right? So did they get that information? I don't know, right? I did the best I could to knock on doors as often as I could to connect with everybody that was there.
And so my other comment is like, from what I don't know if highways would allow it, but when you drive through Balmoral, they have the, like right on their main drag by the rec center, they have a crosswalk. And then now by the development going on, is that 236? Or 236 across the development, so the kids can get to school, they have another crosswalk there. Then when you keep going to Stonewall after the four-way stop, going down 236, there's another walk, and it's solar and it has the lights. It's not like the big crosswalk we have right now, but they're smaller. So is there any way that could be right by like the 55 plus RCMP station? To me, I would want to get kids away from that area. Like, how can we get kids away from that busy street? Because it's crazy, right? It's chaos. And so to funnel them away, have them go out that main crosswalk, walk down 17 to the next crosswalk, and then they can go mid-block. It's pretty much mid-northwest sector, right? And then they can all walk safely to their house. I just don't know, obviously highways, if that would be an option or if that's an option.
I can say, Sharice, that I did look into that. That type of crosswalks, so the exact one at Balmoral, I actually spoke with the resident in Balmoral that was pushing for these. He was a plethora of information. And he said that, that crosswalk in front of the Balmoral Rec Center, he says, yeah, that was something that, highways did approve. Unfortunately, it is a cost to the ratepayers. That cost the Arm of Rockwood approximately $20,000. I don't know what the cost is of the one further down in the development. I would imagine probably a similar cost, a similar process. And yes, that can definitely happen. The proposal that I put forward with the walking path in front of the school would alleviate the need for 3 potential crosswalks. So the one in front of the 55 plus for the daycare, the one where the high school path, ends to the highway, and then one at the northwest corner of the community. So those 3 crosswalks, this would be a $60,000 touch. And the thing is, would we get permission for 3 more crosswalks on the highway? Because we have to get permission for this. We might get permission for 1, but then that's definitely gonna, I would think, close the door to any further permissions for other crosswalks within that same short span. This proposal I put forward gave it all kinds of thought to that. And this just avoids the highway altogether, right? So my thought is to keep the kids away from the highway. They're crossing it twice, northeast and northwest corner of the community, to simply get to school. Whereas if you have a walking path on the same side of the highway, you're not crossing it at all. So you tell me what's safer.
Although the street that you're wanting them to cross and the area you're wanting to cross is the issue.
The northeast corner, is that what you're referring to?
No, the,
School
like,
Street.
going
School-
into the
yes,
cross,
yes,
the,
yes,
the
okay.
bus loop and like,
Yeah.
all the, it's just not ideal, right?
Well, see, if you're walking in the bus loop, no, it's not ideal. And that's why this proposal for the mid-block
Would bring
crosswalk
up.
would be before the bus loop. No, I definitely don't want to see kids walking in the bus loop. No, definitely not.
I just need some clarification here. Someone else can speak? Number one, did I misdate something? I thought the first time that something came up regarding the safe walkways was in the Tribune, in the paper, not the video.
Yeah.
Yep, there was a letter to the editor about curtain surveying.
No, before that, there was an
We
actual-
originally talked, well, heck, it was
There was-
quite a while ago,
there was
where you
another-
asked about the back lane.
Yeah, there was-
That's where this originated, was probably in December or January of our very first year.
It was in the paper first, Michael. I never saw it
Yeah.
on social
Yeah.
media.
There was
I
an
saw it in the
article-
Tribune.
YouTube, yes, there was the letter to the editor in the Tribune.
No, before that.
Oh, there was an article.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
on the third page.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was an article in the paper first, where
Right.
everything I discussed
Thank
at
you.
council was sent to the Tribune.
No, you are 100% correct.
And then
I
after
forgot
that-
there was that article in the Tribune.
Now, secondly, if I understand the process correctly, Councillor Ansel, with his first motion, it's just to say, yes, we're going to do that. The second motion is, yes, he and Councillor Kletke will do that. Am I understanding that?
First motion is that we do plan to remove the hedge and put the gravel path in. The
Yes.
second motion is to consider a second crosswalk, the other one that's been talked about.
Yes.
Second crosswalk at the end of the back lane for 2025 budget.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Yes.
May I say one thing?
One thing, please.
I know we're all talking about the young kids and just the children getting to from the daycare there. For me, not having children and not having any issues that way, the only thing I'm wondering is when I see the idea of be able to walk down, cross at the low school, then walk down that new path and go to the high school, I see so many kids, the older ones, walking their little siblings to school. The town residents everywhere, from this side of town, not just that corner. They walk, they drop off their little kids, then they all walk straight down 17 so that they can walk all the way down the school road. So for me to have that pathway, that would help those kids, not just over at 55 plus. I'm talking the rest of the entire community would be a safer walking path. That's just my thought of it.
Okay. I think we've talked that one through.
I think it's done.
Okay. Delegation, I thank you for coming in. So I appreciate you coming forward and discussing this with us. We're going to move on to number 7, business arising from the minutes. 7.1, CA review. Council, do you have any questions or concerns or comments regarding that? None? Whereas the Council of the Town of Tuelon has completed a performance evaluation for the Chief Administrative Officer, and whereas the whereas the performance evaluation was positive, therefore it be resolved that the Chief Administrative Officer receive a salary increase in accordance with his employment contract. Moved by Councillor Kleckie, second by Councillor Ansel. All in favor? Carried. 7.2, budget 2024 item. This is the hall assessment deferred to the 2025 budget. So we brought this up in COW. And we discussed this. Any comments on this? None? Okay, whereas the budgeted amount for the environmental assessment services for the Teulon Rockwood Centennial Center was set for $1,500. So that's what we budget for the 2024 financial plan. Whereas the quotation from Pinchin Ltd, the environmental assessment services for Teulon Rockwood Centennial Center, came out to $4,725 excluding taxes and exceeds the budgeted amount. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Teulon defer the purchase of the environmental assessment services in the Teulon Rockwood Centennial Center to the 2025 budget deliberations. Moved by Councillor Kleckie, moved by Councillor Nishabata, second by Councillor Helms. All in favor? Carried. Just get my little notes down there. Got it right. Okay. 7.21, Budget 2024, Budget 2024 item, this is a crosswalk location discussed in COW. Whereas the Council of the Town of Teulon would like safer walkways for everyone walking in the Teulon Elementary School and Teulon Collegiate Institute. Whereas the Council of Teulon had budgeted $2,000 towards the capital and labor costs of a crosswalk for the 2024 financial plan. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Teulon install a crosswalk on the north limit of 1st Street Northeast and 2nd Avenue Northeast with an allotted $2,000 budget from the 2024 budget financial plan. Moved by Councillor Klecki, second by Councillor Ansel. All in favor? Carried. 7.211. Be it resolved that the Council of Town of Teulon authorizes suspension of the town operations at noon on Tuesday, December 24th, 2024, and Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried. Sorry. Way on the draw there. Item 8, sorry. Item 8, petitions, we have none. Planning. Yes. So 9.1, as discussed, we're going to table this to the next council meeting to discuss this further. Councilors, I would remind you to please, some of the concerns that have popped up, please address that to the CEO for our next meeting so we can discuss this in its entirety. Make sense? Chris, you're good with that?
Yes.
So, did you give me a new resolution? No.
You can.
I can just kind of ad-lib that?
Yeah.
You have to read it, just table it.
Yes, okay, we'll table this till the next council meeting. Moved by Councillor Nishabata, second by Councillor Heppels. All in favor?
Chris will clean that up.
Yes, I appreciate that. Yep. List of accounts. Council, any questions regarding the list of accounts? No? Be it resolved that the Council of Town of Tuelon approve as paid accounts payable checks from check 2522 to 5317. 5317 in the amount of $126,462.37. Be it resolved that the staff payroll dated July 19, 2024 in the amount of $17,641.10 be approved as paid. And further be it resolved that the staff payroll dated August 2nd, 2024 in the amount of $16,567.12 be approved as paid. And further be it resolved that the staff payroll dated August 16th, 2024 in the amount of $16,636.55 be approved for payment. Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried. Council indemnities. 10.2, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Tuelon approve as paid council indemnities dated August 10th, 2024 in the amount of $2,000, $142.51. Moved by Councillor Heffel, second by Councillor Klecki. All in favor? Carried. 10.3, Fire Department payroll. Be resolved, the Council of the Town of Teulon approve as paid the Fire Department payroll dated July 15th, 2024 in the amount of $9,379. And further be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Teulon approve for payment the Fire Department payroll dated August 15th, 2024 in the amount of $7,636.60. Moved by Councillor Heppels, second by Councillor Klecki. All in favor? All right, communication. This is just communication, some AMM bulletins, AMM executive nomination information. We have a letter, age friendly. There's some stuff that we saw at COW. Any questions on some of these? None. Manitoba EM quarterly report. Disclosure in for Public Interest Disclosure Act information, again, information. Okay. Reports and queries. The drafted audited financial statements. Any questions regarding that? I hear none. Whereas the 2023 audited financial statement has been received by the mayor, be it resolved that the audited financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2023 be adopted as presented. Further be it resolved in accordance with section 194 of the Municipal Act, the municipality must give public notice that the report and the financial statements are available for inspection by any person at the municipal office during the regular business hours. And to further accommodate public access, a notice will be published in the Stonewall Teulon Tribune and also posted on the town's website. Moved by Councillor Klecki, second by Councillor Ansel. All in favor? Okay. And that included the report on the gas tanks. 12.2, audit representation letter and statement of responsibility, year ended December 31st. So we have the audit representation letter and the statement of responsibility. Any questions, council? Okay, be it resolved that the Council of Town of Tuelon sign the audit representation letter and the statement of responsibility. And further be it resolved that the mayor and the CEO be authorized to sign the audit representation letter and that the CEO be authorized to sign the statement of responsibility. Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried. Staff reports. Be resolved that staff reports be accepted as presented at the July 31st, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting. And further be it resolved that the reports be released to the public upon request. Moved by Councillor Nishabata, second by Councillor Heppels. All in favor? Carried. Bylaws and agreements. 13, we have none. New business. This is the 14.1. So the RFP to draft plans to enhance and extend trails for the Teulon Rockwood Green Acres Park. Council, discussion on that.
We need a plan. We need to put an RFP so we have costs. So that way we can budget for it.
Draw something up on that big map of heads.
Right, and it's far better.
I still want
Yeah.
that this is somebody who's professional.
Yeah. Right.
So the idea, I missed last council meeting about this, so just to clarify. So the plan is to hire a consultant to design where we want the plans, or we're gonna decide where we want the path, and then the consultant will come in after that?
The RFP is for a professional to design the enhancements to the trails.
Okay. All right, do we feel that we can't design where we want our walking paths?
No, it's not where we want our walking paths. We have our walking paths.
Okay, so like the spec.
Designing upgrades.
Okay, so coming up with the spec, so thick, so wide.
Yeah.
Technical side of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So we're going to decide.
We're the Eric Shaw SIPD section.
Okay, we're gonna decide where they potentially go. The RFP is gonna be, okay, what's this going to look like in
Make sure that they're done right and in accordance with our secondary plan and
Okay.
other stuff.
Okay, fair enough, just one third.
All the math.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Teulon authorize the CEO to draft a request for proposal to hire a firm that can provide plans to enhance and extend the walk paths at the Teulon Rockwood Green Acres Park. Moved by Councillor Heppels, second by Councillor Klecki. All in favor? Carried.
That's for sure.
14.2. 14.2, this is the central claims. This is, Chris, this is in regards to?
This is closing off our
closing off the insurance, yeah, on the vehicle impact of our haul. Get back there. Whereas Central Claims Manager Inc. has completed all repairs related to file number 10433-01DF, and whereas all repairs have been inspected and approved to the satisfaction of the Town of Teulon and South Interlake Planning Commission. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of Town of Teulon authorize the CEO to sign the final proof of loss to Central Claims Management Inc. Moved by Councillor Klecki, second by Councillor Ansel. All in favor? Carried. Uh, 14.3. Review of mandate and purpose of municipal board. Any questions, council?
It's just AMM wants a resolution from us, so they're asking them to lobby.
There's a freaking mouthful.
You gotta read all that?
Yep, okay, bear with us, guys. Review and revision of the municipal board mandate, role, function, and practices. Whereas the Municipal Board Act, the Municipal Act, the Planning Act, and other legislative sets out on the mandate, role, function, and general practices of the municipal board. And whereas the province of Manitoba recognizes municipalities as a mature order of government, and whereas municipalities are experiencing significant costly delays as a result of outdated paternalistic, wasteful processes in their interactions with municipal board as prescribed in the legislation and regulation. And whereas delays in processes generate valueless workloads for municipality administrations and waste tax dollars due to redundant work, higher interest rates on borrowing, unnecessary legal fees, and delayed procurement. And whereas the province of Manitoba has demonstrated its interest in reducing red tape, improving efficiencies and effectiveness of municipalities by creating a municipal service delivery improvement program, which provides financial support to complete value for money service delivery reviews of programs and services to improve service delivery, streamline functions, and find cost efficiencies. Therefore, be it resolved that the AMM lobby the provincial government or the province of Manitoba to undertake a comprehensive review of the mandate, role, function of the municipal board, evaluate its relevance and actual value in today's municipal sector. And further be it resolved that the province of Manitoba complete a third-party value for money service delivery review for the municipal board processes, undertake process improvements to streamline functions, reduce red tape, reduce municipal costs, and further be it resolved that the province of Manitoba engage in AMM and the MMA to participate in as key stakeholders in preparation of terms of reference for these efforts and any steering and oversight body for this work. That's going to be moved by Councillor Ansel and second by Councillor Kleckie.
They both have to say it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Make a motion, they don't ever send that to us again.
Well, it's a big one. Okay.
Okay, some later ones.
Some lighter ones. 14.4. This is the Teulon Rodeo liquor permit request. Any problems with this, council? None. Whereas the Teulon Rodeo Club has requested a social occasion permit for the Teulon Rodeo and be held in Tuelon on August 23rd to 25th, 2024, from 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. Be resolved that the town of Teulon give community event approval for this event in which liquor will be sold. Moved by Councillor Nishabata, second by Councillor Heppels. All in favor? Carried. All right, 14.5. Teulon Tractor Pull. Whereas Teulon Truck and Tractor Pull has requested a social occasion permit for the Teulon Tractor Pull to be held at Teulon August 17th to 18th, 2024 from 1 to 9 p.m. Be resolved that the town give community event approval for this event in which liquor is being sold. Moved by Councillor Heppels, second by Councillor Kleckie. All in favor? Carried. 14.6, 2024 tax sale. Whereas Section 372 of the Municipal Act provides that a municipality may set a reserve bid in the amount of the tax arrears and the cost of the respect of the property. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of Town of Teulon instruct that each and every property sold at the 2024 tax sale have a reserve bid equal to the amount of the tax arrears and costs. Moved by Councillor Kleckie, second by Councillor Ansel. All in favor? Carried. 14.7. 14.7 zoning bylaw and secondary plan discussion.
Like to table that one. I didn't come prepared for it enough.
Talk about it at Cal.
Did you?
We'll talk about it at Cal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it up at Cal.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it because you weren't there.
I know, that's what I thought. I missed something. Yep.
All right, so we're deferring that to Cal.
I think so.
Mover and seconder?
I'll move it.
Yeah. Moved by Mr. Ansel, second by Councillor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried. 14.8, the handyman vehicle sale. You have an opportunity to read this? Okay, any questions, council? I hear none. Be it resolved that the Council of Town of Teulon give authority to the Teulon District Handyman Services to sell their Ford Dodge vans. Moved by Councilor Ansel, second by Councilor Nishabata. All in favor? Carried.
Good.
10 for Curtis. All right.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to
Absolutely.
the resolution, having checked on it, we really should have some sort of agreement from the two donors before we do anything, just as a matter of process. And the fact that we need to check with the Department of Highways on the process. And we need to accept the donation agreement proposal that the lawyer will have to draft up. So I feel that that's sort of something that we should entertain.
So why would we need a donation agreement? We're gonna contract, we're gonna find out what this is worth, we're gonna get our quotes back.
We don't even know the cost, how can we agree on it?
To protect.
So that could be just the cost plus, like, so you get your quotes, myself and Councillor Ansel just go ahead and we say, okay, here's our first quote for our first project, and we're just prepaying.
Because realistically, I mean, you know, how is this any different than how we're handling the donation for the other walking paths that are being proposed in the community? Like, we got to get a lawyer involved with that
Yes,
one?
we're proposing to do that one by agreement.
But do we really need to? Like,
Yes.
we're spending,
We dot the i's, cross the t's, protect everybody involved. Just, again, it makes sure that in the case of a disagreement, that there's already an agreement.
but we don't even have anything to discuss. Like, we have no details on this. The first step needs to be, we need to engage with the Department of Highways, get our quotes, get our dollars, figure that out, and then we can sit down and go, okay, Kurt, Glenn, you guys still opting to pay for this? Yes, okay, let's go to Grantham's and get something signed. Like, it just feels like we're going backwards.
So I just want to point out, and I want to make sure that we're very clear here, we don't want to suddenly bog this down because, well, shoot, we don't have details. That's been the whole problem the entire time.
Yes.
So
And they
let's
still-
not stop this here because of that. So why don't we just word this resolution in such a way that our CAO is able to explore a donation agreement and engage with the Department of Highways on the plan in order to continue this moving forward, rather than saying, let's wait another month for more details.
Mhm. That's what I'm opposed to.
Okay, so can we
So
word it?
So
Can we
we're
word it that way,
gonna
Chris?
change, we're gonna change the wording and still have a resolution? I'm fine with that.
Second resolution is below the first one.
It's a lot of words, man.
So the resolution that Chris has provided, council desires to authorize the chief administrative officer to apply for the necessary permissions of the Department of Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure, said path construction, including the removal of the current walk path approach currently in place on the southernmost end of the walk path located on the east side of the elementary school. That's the one you're referring to, Chris, correct? So that would be the resolution.
Yeah, engage with the Department of Highways to present the plan.
And for the second resolution?
Well, we'll deal with the first one, right? We'll deal with this one first. Okay, so, again, whereas, the council desires to authorize the chief administrative officer, CAO, to apply for the necessary permissions from the Department of Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure for the said path construction, including removal of the current walking path approach currently in place on the southernmost end of the walking path located on the east side of the elementary school. Moved by?
Before we do that, Todd, Mayor Campbell should say, I would just like to say that this was an instruction this council gave to our CAO in the summer. We talked about this exactly once already. We asked our CAO to look into this matter and to get these answers. And now, 6 months later, or months later, it feels like, we're simply doing it again. Okay, so I don't want to see this duplication continuing to happen. If we're going to decide to do this, this needs to happen in a timely manner. If we're going to say we're going to get answers to questions, let's get answers to questions. Because this is no further along today than it was when we gave this instruction to you, Chris, back in, July. I want to keep this going, so I'm not going to say I want it done any different. We'll make it official, we'll do it a second time, and that's fine. Let's keep this going. But this needs to continue in a timely manner, guys. Like, this is just one more step backwards here.
Councillor Ansel, I'd just like to comment on the resolution. It's to apply, we're basically authorizing the chief administrative officer to apply for the necessary permissions. Okay, we're not asking for information. So I don't understand your question.
If this was investigated, we'd have the answers to this already. That's my concern. So now we're gonna go a second.
Chris, am I under the impression that you're basically contacting the Department of Highways?
Contacting the Department of Highways.
Why?
The lady there that is on leave until the end of the month. I've contacted them before, but they've given vague answers as regards to a plan and whatnot. So,
Well, they basically couldn't go forward any further. I talked to Denise,
Yeah.
well, they couldn't go further anymore until they had a plan, right? That was the whole problem here. So again, I'm just stating a concern I have that I'd like to see this progress. If we're gonna talk to them a second time, great, let's do that. That's regarding one issue. That's regarding the Department of Highways property. There's a second motion here to deal with the daycare kids.
We're dealing with one right now.
One at a time.
Okay.
so
right now. Chris?
I would request your help in having that plan so I can present it to them.
So
that-
Chris, does this give you the leeway that you need to say, here is the plan?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
It moves it forward. Fantastic.
Part of this application requires a plan.
Yeah.
That's the roadblock that we're at. We need the plan so that Chris can move forward.
Good. We have that. Right. This gives him what he needs to do that. Motion by.
Motion by,
I'll make that motion.
second by.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Carried.
Regarding the second motion?
Regarding the second notion, so the way this is written, be it resolved, the council of the town of Tuelon authorized Public Works Department to construct a crosswalk location between the elementary school and Senatef location and the back lane located on the east thereof, located First Street Northeast and Second Street Northeast. Further be resolved that the crosswalk be completed with identifying white paint, pavement unlit signage, a walking path approach connecting the new crosswalk to the current walking path in place on First Street Northeast, and that further review be conducted in next year's budget to determine the necessity of other possible improvements such as lighted signs and or speed bumps applicable to the location. And further be it resolved that the new crosswalk and that specific back lane be serviced for year-round pedestrian only access.
Chris, I have a quick question, just because this feels like, and I'm trying to do this so the section, we can get stuff done. This feels like we are putting forward a resolution to amend our budget and our financial plan to do another capital expenditure project this year, which, can we even do that?
This is supposed to say 2025. I must have missed that, Chris, when you sent me this.
Okay, so the second point, if this is for 2025,
2025.
can we actually pass a resolution to
No.
To put it in
designate a
next
capital
year's.
project?
Can you?
We can pass a resolution to build a plan that we can use for budget deliberation, but we can't pass a resolution now saying this is our budget for next year, because we don't pass that yet, we don't, right?
But you can reword it as just to include it in budget deliberations.
Yeah, reword it in such a way that we're authorizing the CAO to, hey, we have these questions about gravel maintenance, and great, get those together, get that information so that we have it when we start budget deliberations. And that's the resolution, that's the formal directive, and we know that it's on our 2025 budgets, like.
Or Glenn and I just paid for it. What year do we want these kids crossing the street safely, right?
Well, you have 2025, so again, we've got budget planning over financial plan in May.
You should probably consider getting public opinions input on this as well.
Isn't that what we just did?
Yes.
Yeah, and the residents.
Since January.
Residents of,
The back lane.
well, the back lane is a public use space. So anybody can walk down
Yeah, they can,
there at any given time.
at any given time, just like my back lane. and everyone
That's right,
else's back lane.
exactly.
So can we start plowing it?
So we can't pass a resolution that changes our budget, we can't we can't pass a resolution that dictates how we're spending our money next year at this point in time. What we can do to move this forward is we can say, we can direct our CAO to build out that plan, understand those costs, so that we can include it in 2025's budget. That's what we can do today, that materially moves this forward today.
I agree, and that process doesn't start January 1st.
No, it's usually,
We get
start
going in
talking
November, we end
October.
up having this finished by March. May it has to be done by. So realistically, you know, when the kids are actually gonna benefit from this improvement, we're looking at mid, yeah,
You're looking at June.
yeah. And see, you know what, Glenn, like the cost of this for paint on the pavement and 2 sticks on a gravel approach. Like Chris, can we just amend this that, you know, this will be the same thing that Councillor Klecky and I are all for to pay for this, so this is something the kids can get the benefit of as soon as possible. I have no problem donating.
It's no
If
different than
anybody else is
it's no
donating
different than the
money,
resolution we're talking about, whether it deferred the budget
Well, the
or
difference-
the money comes from somewhere
The
else.
difference in this is we don't have to consult with the Department of Highways, this is our property.
Right. What I'm saying is the only way this moves forward right now is a resolution that we can actually pass. And we can't pass one that dictates our change to our financial plan now. We can't
It
pass one
doesn't
that.
have an impact on our financial.
It's
plan.
donation, it's
It's-
not.
If it's a
money.
donation and there is no financial contribution, then the resolution, as we're talking about, still moves it forward. We can debate who's paying for it later, whether it's anonymous donations
All right.
or the town or
Fair
whatever.
enough.
This moves
Okay,
it forward.
no, I've, all
I
right,
think
Michael.
the
thank
other
you for clarifying.
concern that was brought up tonight was just residents haven't been contacted. Not all of them anyways, you know.
And
Regarding the
wouldn't-
issue.
Wouldn't hurt to throw a public hearing out. You yourself made the point earlier about relying on everybody to come in here during council meetings.
Mhm.
It doesn't hurt for us to add a public hearing on this.
Why would we add a
Allow the
public hearing to continue using town property the way it's been intended for public use?
Because people may have
Concern.
and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't slow down the process. It allows people to have their say. That's it.
How can it not slow down the process if we're gonna have to set aside time to schedule this, get everyone in, and hear their feedback on it, which I've already done.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe one person might have gotten missed, they didn't get the letter in their door, but I think the vast majority know exactly what this is about. It's, again, been taught to death, but this is a space that the community already has access to, and we're asking for residents' permission to continue to use the space to walk down.
I am simply advocating for an official thing coming from the town, not Kurt Ansel walking around.
Yeah.
Something official coming from the town, say, this is our plan. We're gonna set aside some time for you to come yell at us about it or tell us that you like it. All I'm advocating for is don't slow down the process.
Well,
Get
that completely slows down the process.
Yeah, with filibuster.
But that's
Because-
town property.
Because what?
Do I have to ask permission if I come to town? Because I'm sorry, I've walked back there. I apologize. I've walked there. I thought that was a back lane for town. I thought I could walk kind of like I can walk in any other street. So I'm confused. I don't live in town, but am I not allowed to walk in that back lane?
Sure you are.
Sure.
Okay, so what is the issue? You're going like in circles and you
Yes.
keep saying you want this to happen.
Yes.
You're stalling it.
No, I'm not,
confused.
I don't want it to be stalled. I want something official coming from the town. Again, Right now, we have,
I mean, I have to get permission officially from the town to walk in that back lane. That's what you're saying.
no.
What
that's
are you
not what I'm
saying?
I'm saying that town, just like we did earlier tonight, public hearing for the potential development,
You work for all.
put out a notice, we say the plan for the town is to use this back lane for that purpose. We notify the residents of the area that could be affected, and we let them have their say, just like we did tonight in the public hearing. It doesn't necessarily,
The kids are walking down there already.
right,
Yes.
So why not just plow it? Why?
we're just saying, all I'm advocating for isn't a delay. It's not somebody having to ask for permission to
Yes,
use a
it
back.
is.
It's
More red tape and regulation and
over
governance.
Okay. If the rest of council feels that that will introduce an undue delay, I'm more than happy to back down on it. I would like to see that there's some kind of a visual notice that comes from the town saying that this is the plan. And if somebody
It
wants to say
wasn't in,
something.
it was in
Exactly.
the paper.
Put
It
in
wasn't.
Well, yeah.
It
That's
was
where I
all over
read
social
from.
media.
But not,
Saw them walking down that
but
back
not
lane. in the
officially
paper.
from the town of Tuelon as a decision of council.
No,
That's
but it
what
was proposed to council on January 9th. Exactly what was in the social media that has offended everybody. The exact details of this was in the January 9th discussion of council. At this time, everything was laid out in detail. Then there had to be a letter to the editor to rebut to something, to some misinformation. And then there had to be a whole, video to continue to say, whoa, there's so much misinformation out here. Okay, this is what it is, guys. And then for this group to say to me that this is the first time they've formally heard a plan is malarkey. Because on January 9th, I read it to you. I read it to this whole group. I took that exact document that I read, Michael, and I gave it to the Tribune. So there wasn't two different versions here. All I want to see is some progress on this. I think that if we're going to say, hey, there's a hiccup here, we can't decide things for next year's budget this year, okay, fine. You know what? This is about, a very easy thing. It's about a paint on the pavement, 2 sticks on the side of the road, and a approach, and this gets the daycare kids to school. So I'm willing to pay for that, so we can do this sooner than later. The fact that, residents may or may not have all been contacted on the back lane is irrelevant, because we're allowed to use that back lane for exactly what we're doing, just the same as we could use it for any other back lane, right? The fact that I went to these community members and talked to them about it, I did as a courtesy. I apologize, Cerise, that you weren't notified. My intention was to knock on the doors. I'm not sure which one was yours, but I missed it, obviously. So that wasn't the intention to skip anybody. I'd just like to make a motion to have that crosswalk and that approach done now. And that this is something that Len and I will pay for, so it doesn't have a budget impact, so it doesn't delay this from continuing to happen. I want to see this happen for this fall for the school kids. And we don't need to talk to the highways department about this. That's why this is a separate resolution, because this is all on town property. Back lane is town property, the street is town property, the ditch is town property, the path it connects to is town property. So, Chris, could we word a resolution to say that, we'd like to do that as soon as possible, and that this is something that 2 councillors are opting to pay for, so it doesn't have a budgetary impact to the residents of the town of Tuelon.
And I think we did that 10 minutes ago with the wording of the resolution. Let's do it, let's move it forward. And then again, if it's coming, if you're right, it's probably peanuts. You're paying for it, great. We've already have the resolution, we have the plan, we're moving it forward.
Okay, sounds like we're talking about the same thing, so, okay. All right, so how do we word that resolution, Chris?
We've got the.
So just as what was read, except we're gonna tweak it to say that this is something that 2 councillors are gonna pay for? Is that all right?
I don't have the resolution in front of me. What is it?
Yeah, it's changed. My comment is, as part of that resolution, should be some communication with the school division.
If it doesn't actually connect to school division property, I will reiterate what Margaret Worth said at our meeting with the school division. What happens on their property is their business. And that's simply the approach we need to take as well. We are the traffic authority having jurisdiction for the community of Teulon for how these kids get to the school. The school, once a school receives these children, that is where their responsibility takes over. It is our responsibility to get these kids to school safely. We obviously agreed to disagree with the school. We're not going to get their permission. So this is what we're here to decide. We're here to say, we either are going to do this, or we're going to side with the school division. And Todd, if you side with the school division, that's your vote, and I completely get it.
I think we need to be collaborative. I keep talking collaborative with our school division. Our school is the most important thing we have next to our hospital. I think being good neighbors I think it's important.
And we've talked to them twice.
We've talked to them twice, and my last comment, or our last conversation we had with them, I asked them point blank, end of the meeting, what their feeling was on the comments that were brought forward, and they were both said no, they both disagreed to them. But again, for the sake of moving things forward,
we can discuss that. I mean, we've got their opinion. We can, just touch on that. So the members of the audience here are kind of like, well, what's the big issue here? What's the big problem that the school division has with this? You want to set aside some time to do that, or if you're saying, I don't want to keep talking about something that everybody in the community wants. I don't know how many more people I can put in this chamber to convince you of that.
Crosswalks are important to the kids, I get that. The school division is opposed to it. We do need to listen to them.
We got their opinion, I agree.
Be cognizant, and I guess the thing that we need to be careful of is just, again, where those kids are going into the bus loop. If they are going into the bus loop. If they are going into the bus loop.
They are not.
I wish we had some school teachers here to discuss this, but anyways, we'll leave that alone for now, because that was brought up, and Mr. Ansel, Sarah, you recall those conversations with Sarah about the problems we were having with kids in the bus loop, right? You were part of that conversation.
There's the odd kid that goes where they're not supposed to, Todd, just like an adult that comes to a stop sign and doesn't completely stop, they kind of roll through. There's the odd child that will come in the bus loop. They know they have never been allowed in the bus loop. Parents aren't allowed in the bus loop. There are signs at both entrances and exits of the bus loop, the times. So why would the teachers here, all of us, promote kids coming into a bus loop? We're not.
No, and I understand that.
And that bothered me that you thought we were for that.
Can I just quickly interject? It's paint and it's posts.
It is paint and posts, right.
If it doesn't
and an approach,
and if the school division, on presenting our plan to them, says, we've got a big problem with that, and they want to come back with statistics and all the rest of that, great. Paint and its posts.
They'll never come and even see it because they don't live here and they don't really care.
But at the end of the day, it's paint and it's posts. If we move it forward, and there is a problem that we didn't foresee, or somebody else is right back here, remove it. That's done.
Could I just make one comment too, please, regarding the removal of the hex should this go forward? I was always under the impression that school grounds should be openly visible, not have anything or anyone that is allowing people to hide.
Causing blind spots.
The commentary on that has all come from the Interlake School Division, not from us.
So they're misinformed on some stuff. They have come up with some weird ideas.
Misinformation.
Very
That's
possible.
the reason behind the video.
That's right.
There was just too much misinformation.
Very possible.
They were under the impression that the trees were coming up.
Well, you know what, it's almost an embarrassment for ex-teachers that our school trustees would put that down on a piece of paper and send it so that it's public to the entire community. Like, that's just not.
Well, they didn't at first. They tried very hard to hide
Okay. Well, it's just not.
The emails.
I can't wrap my brain around it.
All right, guys, the whole community is behind this.
Yes.
The whole goddamn community, right?
And the fact that you said that nobody has come forward from the community, I was here and I asked
Yeah.
Mayor Campbell when you were going to get your information, and you need information, get your collective heads together, I think I'm going verbatim here, and get it done. The thing is, you can talk about it forever.
Exactly.
Till we're all done. You can pass it on to the next council, and that.
Sure.
This is something that somebody has said, and I've
What
said,
prior councils have
and
done.
I'm just new here, that this conversation shouldn't even be happening now. This should have been dealt with many years ago. So the idea is now is expediency, okay? You can come up
And
with
you
all
can be the
kinds of
council
reasons
that
for
brings all the
pushing
safety.
things back.
And
You'll go
it's
down as the
progressive
council of safety.
and progress.
I love you guys.
2024 budget deliberations, that would have been really awesome to have all you guys here at that time when we had everything on the plate.
January 9th.
Shit off the desk.
January 9th, it was their time.
So let's
Well, maybe some of the other males here aren't quite my age, but that got to me.
All right,
And I do not feel safe walking down the shoulder of the road.
How do we do this so that we get, at the very, like the highways department, I get it, okay? We're gonna engage with them to talk it to death with them some more, fine. The children of Play Street, the children walking down the back lane that need a crosswalk, that need an approach to get to the walking path. How do we do that so this is something we can do right away?
That's what we've done. We've just worded it so we can move this forward.
Okay, so this is something that won't have an impact on budget. This is something where two councilors can pay for it. That way we're not trying to find the money or delay this until we put it in the books to have the money allocated to it, correct?
That's, yeah.
Yep.
So part of this resolution, and the question I ask again, is do we send some information to the school division indicating what we're doing?
They already said no.
I would suggest it is not in the resolution.
Sure.
Yes, we'll tell them, this is what we're planning to do. Great. We invite their commentary, we invite their feedback, that this is what our plan is.
They were opposed to any crosswalk on School Street, and we've already
At
decided
the end
we're
of the
putting
day-
one on.
at the
We're
end
not
of the day, you have to tell them.
double checking
Make it
on that
official.
one. Why are we double checking on this one?
Let's put the question and let's do the vote.
Okay, so Chris, I guess I'm gonna ad-lib this. Okay, so council, be it resolved that the council of the town of Teulon authorize Public Works to construct a crosswalk location at the elementary school cenotaph location and back lane located east thereof, located between First Street Northeast and Second Street Northeast. That's correct,
That's
right?
correct.
And paint and post. Is that
And a
right?
crosswalk approach.
Cenotaph.
Nope, it is not First Street Northeast and Second Street Northeast, it's
That's
First Street
First
Northeast and Beach Road.
No,
That's the mid block.
The back lane,
That's the mid
that's
block.
describing the back lane. The back lane runs from First Street Northeast
Okay.
to Second Street Northeast.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
The
I just wanna make sure that we've got it.
The approach, yeah, and it is there.
Moving forward. I don't wanna talk about this again next month because we got it wrong.
So that's the resolution.
Okay?
Okay, so there's gotta be something there saying how we're gonna do this. Where is the money gonna come from? Like, this has gotta speak to where this is gonna be paid for. So we're authorizing, because the paint on the pavement and the signposts, that's something that, you know, Public Works can do with paint and sticks. It's the walking path approach that there's gonna be a dollar figure to this. Someone's gonna have to buy a culvert, someone's gonna have to find a load of fill, and someone's gonna have to put some gravel on top of it. If we have all that in stock, then we don't need to put a dollar amount to it, we're just drawing from our current inventory. But if we have to buy any of this material.
Ask Chris what he wants in the resolution.
Yeah, ask Chris.
Okay,
I'm almost wanting to get more information. I really don't know what's all involved in terms of what we have and what we don't have and what the cost
okay,
is.
so what we don't have, Glenn and I'll pay for it.
Well, originally it was, the discussion was that we weren't gonna touch our 2024 budget at all. And you guys would looking after getting our paint and post in place, right?
Paint and post and approach.
Let's put that in the resolution. Let's just move forward and call it a day.
Paint and approach.
Chris, do we need some kind of agreement? Do we need to get the lawyers involved to protect our community and us?
That's a good question.
Glenn and I suing?
No.
Like from what? From what? I don't think
Something could happen, a kid could fall down and then
I'm
be
just-
like, oh, Kurt
Oh, it's a
paid for that.
liability thing.
It's a liability, that's
Okay.
It's no,
to protect you as a donor.
it's no
and to
different.
protect the
But
taxpayers.
as a donor, I'm not paying for it until it's done.
Yeah, but
Okay,
still pay
so the risk of liability is over at that point.
Donation only. We're not actually.
Because it's already built.
Correct.
I know that if it's already built and I pay for it
There's a
after it's,
sidewalk in a municipality.
No, this is not a sidewalk, this is just a gravel approach, yeah.
But if it's in the municipality.
It's just a straight
Just to
donation.
protect.
It's a straight donation, it's not labor, there's no machinery involved, there's nothing, it's, here's the plan.
You're not gonna be tasked with shoveling down.
I
If we
get that,
haven't
that's
paid
what.
for it yet, because the work hasn't been
Yeah.
done, then we're gonna pay
We're
for
gonna
it.
do plans to come
So-
and cubic yards of gravel in my driveway.
Okay. Chris, I've got the resolution. Okay, guys, if you got it. Be it resolved, the Council of Town of Teulon authorize Public Works Department to construct a crosswalk location between the elementary school cenotaph location and the back lane located east thereof, located between First Street Northeast and Second Street Northeast. And that Councillor Kleckie and Councillor Ansel will pay the costs of this construction. How do we deal with specifications? It's up to Public Works to identify that. Because Public Works will have to identify its culvert size, all that other stuff, right? Does that make sense, Chris?
Yep.
We can trap all that?
Do you need dates on that, Todd, or not?
No.
Okay.
No, it comes into immediate effect because we passed the resolution.
I see.
And then it'll be executed.
And if you put down as they're doing it as a donation. The word
That's what we'll do in the
donation should be
resolution. It'll be a donation from the two councillors.
Perfect.
For.
Chris will clean up the wording
He'll
and post.
Okay.
clean that up for us. All right? Moved by?
Sounds fair enough. Fuck yeah!
Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Kleckie. All in favor?
The rest of the time.
Todd, could I save you guys a little bit of cash and thought? If you're getting permission from the Department of Highways to take out that crossing and that culvert, could that not be utilized around the corner where you guys put the
Yeah,
crosswalk?
unfortunately, it's an idea of reusing stuff, but the resolution is basically we're putting, these guys are gonna find.
I'm just thinking
posts
it
and signs.
might be there.
Posts and- I agree with you.
Gravel
You know
and
what I'm saying?
culvert.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That might be highways, that might be a highways culvert. It's probably not even.
Well, they like to get rid of them, they don't like putting them in.
They don't like that kind of stuff.
Lenore, we'll talk about.
All right. I guess that concludes where we are at council today, folks. We are going into camera. Be it resolved, the Council of Town of Tuelon agree to close the regular meeting of council to the public and meet as committee under section 152(3) of the Municipal Act to discuss legal and human resource matters. And further be resolved that all matters remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act. Moved by Councillor Ansel, second by Councillor Mitchell. All in favor? Carried. Have a good evening.
Thank you for coming, John.